Welcome to Inside Plug, the podcast where independent creators and entrepreneurs connect and inspire. I'm your host, Devon Jones. Today on our show, we have actor Cameron Ross. Cameron, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you here, Cameron. I just want to let you know, just like we let all the other actors know, we love actors. Put in a lot of time and effort, and to bring out these characters is a joy to watch on screen and on the stage. And with that, we want to thank you again and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
All right, Cameron, so we have some projects here that we're going to discuss that you worked on. And one of these projects you said is actually going to be um screening here shortly. But before we jump into that project, let's talk about you as an actor. When did you know that acting was a career for you?
I, I fell into it. So originally I actually went and studied animation and film. So I studied that at Concordia University in Montreal. And we don't, in the UK, we don't have free electives or anything like that. So I was kind of lucky, but here in Canada, you guys have free electives. And one of the recommended free electives was an acting class because for animation, you do lip syncing and sort of the physical movements and such. So it's recommended as an animator that you do a few acting classes, and that's what I did. So I took this summer intensive class at Loyola campus at Concordia University, and I did this 3-week intense class. And because of that, I just sort of fell in love with it. I had a bit of a natural flair. Sorry, a natural flair for it. And so from there, I just kind of just fell into it. It wasn't by any, an orchestrator or anything, but yeah. So I initially wanted to do animation and film. I fell into acting, and then during COVID, there wasn't really many people could do, and there was a little studio called Company of Rogues here in Calgary that had acting class. And so when I came back to Calgary, I thought, I'll do it for a bit of fun. And it kind of just went from there, and it just sort of built a bit of momentum. So that's how I fell into it. So it wasn't by design, but rather by, I guess, by luck, just from taking the animation class. It was a totally different career that brought me in. So yeah.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it. So you were taking animation classes, getting the lip syncing, the movements down, and then transition just happened to where, okay, now you got COVID and there's not much for me to do. I'm gonna find a studio, and then boom, now you're acting. That's awesome. I love it. Um, could you share with us what was it about that studio, or what was it about that crew that kind of navigated your direction towards, okay, this is what I'm doing? Because did you go back to animation?
Actually, no, it didn't. So what happened was, I'll be honest. So during that 3-week intensive program that I did at Concordia, I just loved it. I didn't know what acting was all about. I went to the school I went to in Edinburgh. So I'm originally from Scotland. I'll be honest. I went to an all boys school, and the other group of lads sort of would pull your leg for anything like drama or anything like that. They wouldn't have any of that. So I didn't know what drama or acting or any of that involved. And so when I did do the summer intensive class at Concordia, I found out. And as I said, it was a 3-week intensive program, and we were in an ensemble, a cohort of about 5-6 people, and you became very close knit. You obviously went through these. We actually did. I think it was about 8 to 10 hour days sometimes. So you became very close knit. You got to know everybody very intimately, if you want to say, and so I was kind of trying to recapture that excitement when I came out to Calgary. And so Company of Rogues, it was this acting community that I heard about. And I'll be honest, I never thought, I initially just started out just to have fun. That was it. I just thought, there's not really much we can do right now. And we all had to wear these masks and all the rest of it in the classes. It was a bit awkward, but the community here it was really positive. It brought people together. And I guess I just found a bit of a tribe that I fitted into for once. I've always been a bit of a misfit. So yeah, that's kind of why I gravitated towards it. And it was just something I enjoyed a lot. And then I'll be honest, I didn't even know what an agent was. I had no idea what short films were. I had no idea about how any of this worked. And it was through the community where I met people who were saying, "Oh, I need to get an agent. Oh, you need to get an agent. You start. Have you done any indie films? Have you done any student films or anything?" I hadn't done anything at this point. And this was back in 2021, 22. Yeah, coming up to 22. And yeah, so I just thought I'm just gonna enroll into this 2-year masterclass program at Company Rogues. And and here I am now. So I've completed that. I actually finished that over the summer. And now I'm just sort of picking up projects here and there and just building up my resume and just making some cool films. That's kind of how it's going right now. So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. So now you're in this acting community and you're learning about agents and short films and now you're being a being a part of projects now. Could you share with us about some of your early projects?
Yeah, well, the one you mentioned at the beginning, so it's called Collective Unconscious. Um, and so last summer, was the first time I ever auditioned for anything. And the first role that I auditioned for was for a role called Billy in Collective Unconscious. And it also involves a music band here called Ride the Sky. And so last year I just decided to audition for it, and I auditioned for it like midnight. I remember I didn't have much time. I did it at the Rogue Studio, and we had this big blue screen. I had no idea what was going on. So one of my, she's now my girlfriend actually. She sat me down. She went, "Okay, I really think you should do this." And she set up this big blue screen, and I had no idea what was going on. I was like, "Is this how we audition?" She was like, "Yeah, this is how you do it." And she sat me down, and I had to sit down for the scene, and it had to be this like emotional scene where I'm basically having a breakdown. And we filmed it within about 10, 15 minutes, something like that. And we did a couple of takes. And I'll be honest, I never expected to book it just because it was my first audition. And it wasn't that I didn't know what I was doing, but truthfully, I didn't know what I was doing. So, um, so I ended up booking it a couple of weeks later, from about 2 weeks later. And so the whole of last summer, for about 4.5 months, every weekend and the occasional day during the week, I was filming this movie. It was a feature film. I was the lead in it. I played Billy, and it was a lot of work, like a lot of work. And in between, then I was having to like juggle my work commitments, school commitments with this. It was intense, but I loved it. Like I absolutely loved it. I remember my first day. So my first day of filming, I remember it was on a Saturday, I think it was, and on the Friday, Christian, who's the director, he just goes, "Hey Cam, so as you know, we're filming tomorrow. I need you to learn this song," and it was by the band called Ride the Sky that are in it. And I was like, "Okay, yeah, no worries, I can do that, no worries." And I started panicking, so I got off the phone with him, and I was like, "Okay." So they gave me one of the songs. That the band had written for their album. And basically, the best way to describe this movie, by the way, sorry, I went on a tangent, but it's it's an album by Ride the Sky, and then the storyline is basically an hour and 20 minutes of a music video. So it's all these little music videos for all the album tracks, and then it's just compiled into one feature length movie. And it has a story, you see. So the album itself had a story. So they were able to build it around that. Christian wrote it with a guy called John Tasker. And as I said, so last year he goes to me the day before we film, and he asked me to learn the song. So I grabbed my guitar and I started learning it, and I had to learn the lines. And I was panicking because I'd never filmed anything in my life. And the first thing they had me do was they put me in a basement, and there's just all these people. There's like 15, 20 people in there, and I have to perform this song in front of them. I was super nervous. Anyway, you guys can be the judge. I'll be able to show you the footage as to whether that went well or not. I think it did, but you know. Um, So yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of stress, but I met a lot of really good people, and it's with a production company called Thunder Lizard, and they call themselves a collective, so they like to work with many artists and animators, musicians. I was able to bring in one of my buddies, a guy called Carlos Juan Rojo, to do the animation. So I knew him from Concordia. So this film's got a bit of animation in it, which is really cool. I think it's about a 3.5 minute animated music video in there as well, which is kind of cool. So it's got different mediums in it, but that comes out on the 22nd. So the screening is actually the 22nd of November. I don't know what the venue is yet; they haven't told me, but yeah. So this upcoming month. So I'm very, very excited, and I was incredibly proud to be part of it. And that kind of it kind of leapfrogged me. It propelled me because essentially, basically, as you probably know, you post what you're doing on Instagram and such, and then people go, "Oh, who's this guy? What's this person doing?" And then people come and ask you like, "Do you want to be in my short film? Do you want to play Butler number 3 in my short film?" Because they've seen you in this film. So that's kind of how it works, I guess. But yeah, it's been a bit of a roller coaster this last 12 months. And then obviously I've worked on different projects. Like at the moment, next weekend I'm working on a project called Diamonds and Pigs, which I'm very excited about. That's here in Calgary. I don't want to say too much about that just yet, but I think it's about 15 minutes long. And there's an actor called Jared Blake that I'm very excited to get to work with. And then there's my partner, Katarina Borzig. She's in it. So um, that's what I'm up to next weekend. But yeah, that's kind of what happened to start my career. And yeah, so there we go.
That's awesome, and congratulations on booking a role.
Thank you.
So I have some questions about that character, Billy. Um, that was your first role, your first audition. Was there any preparation that you had to go through for that character?
Yeah, I mean the character of Billy is essentially he's in a very low state. He's very depressed, low energy. So the story goes that Billy is the lead singer in this band called Ride the Sky for the film, and he for whatever reason he separates, and he has a bit of a falling out with the band, and then he goes through this. He goes home and then he consumes some psychedelic drugs, so we say, and he goes on this psychedelic journey. And it's meant to be the film itself is actually meant to be a bit of a nod to Pink Floyd's The Wall, so it was inspired by that. And basically, Billy is this sort of down and out. He's bottom. He's hit rock bottom. And so for that, I'll be brutally honest. What I actually used was at the time I was incredibly drained. So I just completed my first year at Company of Rogues, which it's 3 semesters, and it's quite intense. Um, so I just remember at the end of June, we just finished our first summer intensive, like we Company of Rogues. So it's like you do a end of year theatre play. I remember we had about 2-3 months of rehearsals for that. And so when that was done, I was completely burnt out. And I'll be honest, I didn't want to touch anything. I didn't want to do acting. I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to rest. But because I was so drained and I was just exhausted, I actually took that form of energy, or lack of, shall I say, to bring the character to life. And a lot of people told me I really embodied the character of depression in Billy. So, but in truth, I was incredibly nervous. I'm not always the type of person to journal. A lot of actors like to journal and stuff. Sometimes, I'll be brutally honest, man. I don't always throw myself too deep into things. Sometimes I think the best work actually comes from when you do. You ask yourself the your wants and your needs and any other question, but beyond that, you don't take it too far. Otherwise, you kind of lose a bit of juice. So if you over prepare, it can actually be detrimental. That's what I found anyway. I mean, everybody's personal process is different, but for me, as I said, I just took where I was at in my life at that time and used that energy to perform, and it went really well. So Yeah, that's kind of sometimes, like I said, I don't throw myself too deep into preparation. Um, I kind of do that when I'm learning my lines, I guess. Um, but yeah, no. So the character of Billy was the other thing that was interesting about that. As I said, it was my first film, and I didn't really know what to expect. Had no idea how a set worked. I still to this day haven't even done a student film. I hadn't done background or anything. I had no idea what was going on. And so I just launched myself into the deep end, and to be honest, it was the best way to learn. So you either swim or you sink. That's kind of how it goes. So.
That is true. That is true. Thanks for sharing that. I have a question. What or who inspires you to keep going?
Honestly, it's my brother. Um, my my brother. So he's 5 and a bit years older than me, and he's got like an insane work ethic, and he shows an incredible amount of resilience. So um, and whatever we do, don't let him hear this, okay? So don't let this podcast go out to him. But seriously, yeah, he's been a really good role model for me in life. And there's been times where, things haven't been great. I don't know, maybe I failed an exam or something where maybe I didn't apply myself at school. And then he'd give me the Rocky Balboa motivational speech. And the next thing I know, I'm kicking backside of my exams. So he was that guy who showed me that you need to work hard for things in life. And, sometimes things don't go well and you just got to pick yourself back up and kick backside, as he would say. So, um, yeah, he's somebody who's and he has no involvement in acting whatsoever. He works in supply chain, but for example, this last year, his last 2 years has been completing a master's degree whilst working full time. Um, and he did incredibly well. I think he got like a 98% or something silly, which I don't even know how that's possible whilst working full time in his master's degree program. Um, but it's that type of inspiration where you're like, wow, like if he can do it, maybe I can be half as good. So um, that's kind of how I use him. He's my motivation. He's my inspiration in life, and so that's why anything I throw myself into, even the acting, I go full pedal. I'm quite intense. I'm one of these guys you just like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it as well as I can. So that's kind of where the drive comes from. So it's just because I got somebody in my life who has shown those attributes, and that's what I'm trying to emulate right now.
That's awesome. I love it. All right, Cameron, we're at that part of the episode where I asked the guest this question. What is a book, a TV show, or a film that you recommend to an up-and-coming actor?
Oh, uh, actually, funnily enough, it was just because I was watching it last night as well. It's called Bronson, and it's got Tom Hardy in it. Um, I don't know if have you ever seen that film? I don't know.
I haven't seen it.
So it's a British film that was made. I think it was about 2008, 2009. It was a wee while ago now, and it's a true story about the most notorious British prisoner on record at the moment, and his name is Bronson. Sorry, and he's this physically he's this like large built. Really intimidating looking guy. He looks like a WWF wrestler. He makes Stone Cold quiver. And basically, Tom Hardy, prior to that film, I'd always seen him as this sort of slim, slender kind of guy. But it was because he transformed into this character and he took on his mannerisms, he took on his accent and all that. And he obviously put a lot of preparation into that. And that was something for my own for me, anybody who is aspiring to be an actor, doesn't matter, even if you're a musician or something, I just think it's fascinating to see someone who really threw themselves in. And that goes against what I said, contradicts what I said about Billy, but it really shows the work he put in. And I absolutely love it when, a bit like Heath Ledger in The Joker, you know how he transformed into the Joker. There's no remnants of Heath Ledger's real character himself. Tom Hardy does the same thing where there is no remnants of Tom Hardy. It's he became Bronson, and it's a really fascinating story. Like it's an actual true story. I mean, I don't know if they fictionalize certain parts, but there's moments where he's fighting bulldogs and such in a ring and stuff. It's just the film's crazy, but highly recommend to anybody to go and watch that. It's not. I don't think it's the most well known film. I've asked a few people and they don't know about it, but it was just because he threw himself and he truly transformed into the character, and it's fascinating. It's like a different human being. So I would say Bronson, starring Tom Hardy. It's a great film. It's a great film.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, everyone. That's our episode today of Inside Plug. Cameron, thank you again for joining us.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. And I'll be checking into your other uh, episodes as well. So thank you for having me.
All right, and also I forgot. My apologies, Cameron. Where can the audience find you? Do you have an Instagram, an IMDb page? Where can they see your reels?
I do, yeah. It's funny because all the stuff that I did over the some of it hasn't even been finished. It's still in post production. It hasn't been edited yet. As I said, Collective Unconscious. That's coming out on the 22nd of August. Sorry, November. It's coming out on the 22nd of November. I do have an Instagram page. It's Cameron dot. I mean, just double check actually. And by the way, I apologize. I'm not the most socially media savvy person. Let's have a quick look. It's cameron.ga.ross at Instagram. I do have an IMDb. If you type in Cameron Ross and if you type in Collective Unconscious, you'll actually find it. I don't know what the extension or whatever that is to that is. As I said, I'm not the most tech savvy guy in the world, so but if you want to find me, you will find me. There you go.
Awesome. All right, for everyone that's listening, get connected with Cameron and check out the work that he's putting out there. He's doing some great work. All right, everyone. Once again, that's been our episode. Remember, you know where to find us. We're on YouTube every Tuesday, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Remember, stay inspired and keep creating. Inside Plug, signing out.